Draft Pod coming at you right now. Mock drafts, updating our prospect evals, our needs for the Broncos, and then all-time college football week. We might do half the show on the best prospects, the best matchups, the best bets for a loaded week of college football. Now let's go. DNVR Draft Pod.
Let's go.
Welcome into the Toyota Lounge. DNVR, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores, the official vehicles of DNVR, with my man, the Schwan Man.
What's up, Dre?
Getting ready for one of the big matchups of the weekend in an epic weekend.
This is what we all live for, right?
It really is.
Ranked college football
my
matchups.
gosh.
You know, contenders separating from pretenders.
The upsets last week, that was
Yep.
so classic college football. The one week you're like, this is a snooze fest. I go to LA, catch a punk concert.
Yep.
Forget it. Vandy's week. Yeah. Incredible.
You can't sleep on college football during the season, man. Even when the slates are underwhelming, that's when you go, there's going to be something that happens. Always does.
It's such a legendary sport. I love it so much. The Broncos are back.
Bro, are we back? For
We
real?
are so back. Here's the thing that Raiders game made me think of from a draft prospect, because that is what we do. I'm so glad we're in the rookie QB mix and they didn't just draft Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, great. Made some game-changing plays. But then you're looking across the bow like, they've got a rookie quarterback. Like, he looks promising. Like, dang, I wonder what that feels like. I'm glad we're here with Bo. I really am.
Me too. It feels like, and I don't want to jinx anything, but we have something to be excited about.
That's right.
From a head coaching quarterback perspective.
That's exactly
And I think
right.
we can all realize that the talent on this team can be a lot better too. This team can be a lot better, Dre.
This defense is nuts.
People
Absolutely
sleep on the defense,
insane, man. So yeah. Let's get into it. Instead of the preview, let's start with the mock draft.
Okay, I'm ready.
Get going on the Broncos. Get going on the NFL. Start us off. Who's number one on the board? Who's the first pick? It's the Patriots, or is that the Panthers?
It is the Patriots. The New England Patriots are currently the first overall pick according to Tankathon, which is the most accurate, I think, current draft order that we have.
Yep.
There is a lot of 1 and 4 teams, but strength of schedule, all those tiebreakers, it's the Patriots right now.
Yeah, Pats are the worst team, and that's an easy Travis Hunter fit.
Sure.
Drake May's going to start this week.
Yep.
Just give him the best player in college football and move it along. What up, Pac-Man in the Toyota chat? Shout out to you. Okay, number 2 with the Panthers is where it gets a little more complex. But I do think you really are looking right now at 2 buffs going 1 and 2. It's just a matter of would it be to the Panthers? Because I do not think...
Coach is not going to let Shador play for the Panthers.
Exactly. I don't think Coach Prime would let that fly. It's one of the most dysfunctional owners in sports right now. So, you don't want to be associated to that, but there could be a really nice market to move up to 1, to move up to 2, because I do think Shador Sanders has separated himself as the top quarterback in the country. And, I think basically it's Travis to the top non-QB needy squad.
Yeah.
And then it's Shador to the top QB needy squad. So 1, 2, somewhere or another. I think that's how it goes down.
Okay.
Let's move it along to pick number 3.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati Bengals. Nuts that we are here. insane. And yet we are. And outside of the passing game, basically everything needs help.
Yep.
It's such an interesting draft, Jake, because the defensive linemen, so much talent, they're all kind of speculative stocks, you know? James Pierce, he's not even looking like the best D lineman on a really stacked Tennessee defensive line. Harold Perkins, he's injured. Mikael Williams, he hasn't played a lot. Abdul Carter, very promising, but he's kind of one of those hybrid linebacker edges.
Yeah.
Very Micah Parsony.
He's figuring it out, though.
Oh, he's a freak. Honestly, we haven't been talking about him enough. Harold Perkins, I mentioned the injury. It's just like Deion Walker's such a big boy, you know?
Yeah.
All these guys you're dreaming on the upside they've flashed, but they're not top 3 picks.
What about Mason Graham?
Mason Graham might just be that guy, though I will say this isn't like a Myles Garrett game wrecker. I think he's like Quinnen Williams was, you know?
Yeah.
Like very, very good blue chip defensive lineman. Game wrecker, yes. But at the same time, he's also not Aaron Donald.
Right. I think that's fair.
It's like, you know, you're getting yourself a Pro Bowler, you're not getting yourself a first team All-Pro.
Right.
And, I mean, you know, top 3 picks, you are always hoping to get a top 3 All-Pro. But I would agree that Graham is a guy who separates himself. Cincinnati, they like to just rush for.
Yep.
No manufacturer pressure. Having an anchor in the middle of your defense like that would be great. And that is the top 3 prospects on my board, by the way.
So we're taking Mason Graham?
I would be down.
Okay, Mason
Kind of
Graham.
dominated this podcast, so please start giving your
fine,
input
man.
when you're...
We're going to
when
Cleveland
you're-
now. Do you draft a quarterback?
Wowzers. Gosh, they're in a worse spot than the Broncos were last year.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it all, I think they do draft the quarterback.
Who do you draft?
To me, Quinn Ewers is the clear second best quarterback in this class, just upside-wise.
Mm-hmm. Jalen Milroe, though. I mean, I know what
Jalen
happened last
Milroe
week.
would, but you know,
People are talking.
he wasn't like the reason.
No. What do you think Stefanski would want in that offense?
Stefanski with Milroe,
That's what I'm thinking.
that's nasty right there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down.
Okay. Jalen Milroe.
Jalen Milroe going 4th overall, is it?
4th overall.
My goodness. Who's next on the board, Jay?
The L.A. Rams.
The L.A. Rams. Wow. Now it really gets interesting. Frankly, it's early, but we're already on how high is too high for Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah.
Kuiper had him 10th on his board.
And you know Sean McVay, if he gets a shiny running back like that, they are running the hell out of the football.
I just think like Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs going top 10 a couple years ago.
Right?
Jeanty has nothing to envy those guys.
No, I agree. I think that he's in that conversation. He's so dynamic.
Oh.
And he hasn't caught the ball too much this year. I mean, he did that a lot last year. I
Yeah.
think he had 40-some receptions last year. But, man, this guy is the contact balance, the speed,
It's the
the vision, the toughness.
as good a balance as you'll see in sports.
Someone told me in the office yesterday, I can't remember who told me. I think it was Mitch, actually. He said Ashton Jeanty is averaging like 8 yards per carry against 8-man boxes. That's
What a
unheard
freak.
of.
What a freak. No, they're must-watch TV right now. They are absolutely incredible.
But, I mean, Cooper Kupp keeps getting hurt. You have these wide receivers on the board. You could consider quarterback, I think. Stafford's getting up there. You could always just invest in the offensive line or get a great edge rusher.
The O-line is interesting, and I do think this is where the edges start to become a conversation. Is it too crazy for Abdul Carter?
I don't think it is, man.
I don't either.
This
pop
guy is
this guy
insane.
has.
His
8 tackles for a loss. He might be cooking USC.
his first step,
Yeah,
and then
no,
his
it's
ability to convert that speed into power. He's a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
He's got he's starting to figure it out. He's throwing in spin moves, some chops. Like he's got some.
I
some
just
moves
wish
in
he
his
wasn't
bag.
playing in spy as much as he does.
Yeah,
But that was the Micah Parsons criticism essentially.
Exactly. I mean, watching him, that's exactly what I thought of. He's wearing the same number. He's wearing 11. And
I
then
mean, you think you're watching old highlights.
yes,
when
he's
you
all
watch
over
it.
the field too. He's lining up as a linebacker on the ball, all that stuff. What do you think? Do we
Yeah,
take him?
no, Carter makes a lot of sense. I think
right.
we just talked ourselves into that.
Abdul Carter, Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville, I think it's time for an upgrade at wide receiver. We did have the Brian Thomas breakout game.
Yep.
That was fun. Tavon Walker closes the game. Like, they have some talent there.
Yeah.
And honestly, now that I'm talking it through, maybe this is where a Will Campbell or Kevin Banks, you start to address the offensive line.
Yeah, Cam Robinson's been an issue for them.
Sure has. And honestly, Josh Simmons, Ohio State, San Diego State transfer, and Ariante Irsay, the big boy from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Those cats might have more upside than the top two guys.
I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people saying that Banks and Campbell may not be the best tackles on their team.
They're solid as hell. They just aren't those...
Joe Alt.
Yeah, right.
Olu-Fashanu.
They just aren't,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Like carved out a brick and
Right.
like born on this earth to just be
Right.
set and forget Andrew. Dude, lately watching the Giants, Andrew Thomas, man. That kid. He's got some talent.
Yes, he does.
He is incredible.
What do you think? A tackle then? Outside of Brian Thomas, they have nothing at receiver as well. I do think
I
Cam
know.
Robinson is a bigger issue, though.
I know.
They've been rolling with him for so long.
Just to state, one of my secret agendas here is to see if I can get Isaiah Bond to slip to the Broncos.
Okay, I love that.
Because I've kind of locked in on... Actually, if you guys see our thumbnail, it's Travis Hunter, Ashton Jeanty, Isaiah Bond. Those are my three dream scenarios
I love it.
to give to Sean Payton and Bo Nix, basically.
We'll get into the Broncos' needs, but
Yes.
you are right on the same corner of the street as me with this thing.
I mean, yes. Yeah, let's get one of the tackles out of the way. Let's do Will Campbell today, but honestly, I think we could have some movement pretty soon on these offensive tackles.
That's fine. That's fine.
The more I get into them.
The Tennessee Titans.
And what pick are we, my friend?
We are on 7.
Okay. The Titans at
Quarterback?
7 is quarterback in the mix. And
Has
Quinn
to be.
Ewers is staring you in the face.
It has to be.
Yeah, Will Levis went from, nice frisky breakout last season to memed in every country of the world. Quinn Ewers, man, that gun he has, and also just he plays against OU and plays like Quinn Ewers does in big games.
Yeah.
It's like the hype train's so back.
That's fair.
So yeah, I'd say a Ewers in Tennessee.
Okay. I like
Seems
it.
like a good fit.
Yep.
Nashville, he's got those lamb chops he's growing out. Throw a cowboy hat on him. He'll fit right in.
He would fit right in.
Yeah.
They do need some weapons, I think, though. But yeah.
Who's the next pick?
The next pick would be the Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins at 9.
At 8.
At 8. I think quarterback will be back in the mix again.
Yep, definitely.
And we've already had the top 3 guys gone.
Cam Ward, Miami to Miami.
Could be, Jake. Some machines have the Broncos around this range.
Yes.
So we got to consider that. All of that, though, on the other side of this break.
go.
And of course, we got a shout out. One second. We're going to get this in there. There we go. We got to shout out the good friends at Coors Light.
Coors Light.
What a time to shout out Coors Light, to enjoy some delicious, cold like the Rockies, light beer that tastes so good and refreshing when it goes down on a weekend like the weekend we're about to get into in this preview.
Sunday night could be a big Coors Light night for me if the Buffs and the Broncos win.
Right, because Saturdays you're working, you can't.
Yeah, we're Coors Lighting it up on Sunday night if that's the case.
I'm I'm probably more getting my Coors bucket going on Saturday. That's more of the vibe right now, I think.
I do not have that privilege this week.
No, but there are worse things than being at Folsom and working a glorious game. Yeah, whether you're at Folsom like Jake or like me at home on your couch enjoying all the madness that college football has to provide week in and week out, no better way to enjoy a delicious Coors Light. When the mountains turn blue, it's as cold as the Rockies. You know it. It's just such a delicious cold filtered lager. Make the most of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And of course, we're going to get into our picks very soon. That's always brought to you by Bet365. They're just the homies, man. We hit our boosted Broncos SGP.
Oh, yeah, we did.
From them over the weekend. The over was such a lock with the Avs yesterday. Of course, McKinnon doesn't get us the goal, but there'll be many other times to win bets on Mac to score goals and the Avs to go over parlayed together. Bet365, the only place you can find DNVR's custom bets. On the front page, you see our beautiful flag and you see the SGPs we've all cooked up together. It's a glorious thing. It's the kind of stuff we used to dream of. And if you haven't already, use that QR code down there on the screen. Check out the link in this podcast description. Sign up and use our code DNVR365 and they will match your first bet if you're a baller and you want to go that route. If it loses, or first bet you make, $5 minimum, they'll give you $200 in bonus bets. It's a great way to get into it all. Buffs to win the Big 12. That might be the play. Everything's in the cards now. Broncos to make the playoffs. Who knows? What a time to be alive. Avs, Nuggets, futures. You know the deal. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, Jake. We left off with the Miami Dolphins at 8th overall.
Yes, sir.
And much like the Titans, I think they too have to draft a QB here.
So it's between Beck and Ward at this point, unless you think Jackson Dart or someone else enters the chat here. But
goodness, gun to my head, I probably would take Jackson Dart ahead of Carson Beck at this point. That's how out I am on Carson Beck. Yeah, I guess Cam Ward. I mean, I think 8th overall is like frankly irresponsible. But you guys have talked me into him, and frankly, for like 3.5 quarters, the Cam Ward experience has been fairly similar to what I warned you all coming into the season.
And this is what he was at Washington State. He gets himself into trouble. He'll throw some, interceptions. It's just like, what is going on? Like, what is going through your mind? But then he makes some throws.
To his credit,
2 weeks, he has been able to dig himself out of the hole he's dug.
He's coming back, and he's getting out of these spots. He's a good athlete. He throws it well. He's got good size. He's sneaky young, even though we've been talking about him for a gazillion years. And, let's Cam Ward it up. Do you think that's a good fit? I also think it's a good fit for McDaniel's offense.
Yes, I agree.
9th overall, who do we have?
Another quarterback-needy team, the New York Jets. A team in disarray.
Goodness
at
me.
the worst, or at the best.
Hackman running that offense. Garrett Wilson looking good.
Yeah.
Running game not figuring things out.
You could go get another receiver here. We've only lost Travis Hunter from the board. He went 1st overall. Burden, McMillan are still there. You can pair another cornerback with Sauce if you want to do that route.
Will Johnson is still in the mix.
Or you can just go...
Will Johnson, Sauce, and a Robert Saleh defense, by the way, would have been perfect.
It would have, but
adios,
bummer.
Robert.
You can do the Joe Douglas thing. Just go get a front 7 guy or a tackle.
It's kind of think what they do, man. Calvin Banks.
Banks?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's that or James Pierce.
I'm about it.
Let's go Banks. Let's get the second O-lineman off the board, the left tackle for Quinn Ewers and the Texas Longhorns, which takes us to 10th overall.
The Arizona Cardinals.
Where in some mocks, the Broncos would be up.
Yep.
This mock has the Cardinals. I mean, Cardinals need defense, and by far the best prospect remaining, I do think, is Will Johnson.
Yep. Yeah, they don't really have too much at cornerback or in that secondary in general.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great way to go. They kind of feel like an outside-in type team, too. And, I mean, frankly, that defensive front seven could use a lot. But the Broncos would not be looking at someone like that. I think you'd go, like, wide receiver or maybe even Jeanty.
Oh, definitely.
If the Broncos were at this spot.
Yeah.
But we'll keep it moving. 11.
Johnson.
Who do we have, my guy?
At number 11, we have the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, the Raiders. Boy, much like last year, they're kind of in a spot where they are, they've missed the run of quarterbacks.
Do they take Carson back?
He feels
do
a
you
little
do?
Raidery. Jackson Dart also.
What do you do here, though?
Frankly, Jackson Dart's like sophisticated Gardner Minshew.
Yes. Do you take a wide receiver, though, without taking a quarterback? Because you're probably going to lose Devontae Adams, and that's all you had anyways. You could probably just take any defensive player again.
Yeah, I mean, again, everyone would praise them if they got Will Johnson at this pick, much like they were praised for getting Brock Bowers last year. I'm not sure you would feel like you've built anything better, but there would be that.
I mean, they have Crosby. They took Tyree Wilson in the top 5 a few years ago.
I mean, it's crazy. Could we have 5 quarterbacks in the top 11 again?
It's looking like that's like
My
the new
goodness.
trend in the NFL, yeah.
Well, makes sense.
Well, let's just take
Also,
him then.
like Jaden Daniels talking to Todd yesterday. Todd, my friend and colleague, Todd Davis. Jaden Daniels might just be the MVP. And, Bo, Caleb, and Jaden all winning like crazy.
Yep.
Marvin
I love
Harrison Jr., Maserati Marv, beast. Neighbors, psychopath.
We love this draft class in April, man.
Yeah.
I think we like this one a lot, too.
We do. This one's a bit wackier. And some of these picks, like, Cam Ward was kind of wacky.
It is what it is. We're
Give him
taking
Will
Beck here.
Johnson at 11.
We already took Will Johnson at 10.
Thank you.
With the Cards.
Thank you. I'm
We're
so
taking
sorry.
Beck, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
The Raiders take Beck. I think it's a bad pick,
It's
but we'll
the
give it to
Raiders.
him. Yeah, and look, Jackson Dart balls out against LSU. We might mark it correct and go that route here.
The New Orleans Saints at 11
very soon.
or at 12.
The New Orleans Saints at 12. We are 10 picks away from the Broncos.
Yep.
The Saints at 12, man, they've had a fun season. Again, this is another squad looking to upgrade at quarterback.
Wide receiver, though?
Yeah. And I mean, Alvin Kamara, he's not young anymore. Ashton Jeanty.
Would you take Jeanty over T-Mac and Luther Burden?
Yeah, I think so.
You would?
I think so.
I'll trust you. We'll do it.
I think I've gotten to that point.
All right.
Okay, pump the brakes 1 sec. We'll
Okay.
pump the brakes.
Okay.
We could go like last year, 6 QBs in the top 12. Give them Jackson Dart.
We could, yes.
Wide receiver Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. It's not terrible. Tight end Foster Moreau is their best player. Loveland might be the route.
That feels high for him, and I love him.
Yeah, I agree. With the other skill players you have on the board, that does feel high. Defensively, like they have lost some pieces over the years. Could Mikael Williams, Walter Nolan, Deion Walker, James Pierce be in the mix?
I'd pick a wide receiver here, but I could totally understand going just another quarterback.
Well, T-Mac would complement Shaheed and Olave quite perfectly.
Yeah.
Give him T-Mac.
All right. T-Mac it is.
That, of course, is Tatoria McMillan, the wide receiver for the Arizona Wildcats. True phenom. Number 13, the Indianapolis Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Not in consideration for Ashton Jeanty. Not in consideration for a quarterback.
We go back-to-back receiver here.
Yeah, I kind of think so. And it's LB3 over Isaiah Bond, yes?
I mean, they've got big guys already, and Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs is he's done some things in the slot too.
Pierce breakout season this year too.
But I don't think they really have that rack intermediate type guy like Luther Burden. So that would fit. Tight end, they have nothing. If you want to throw Colston in there, or if you just want to go with a tackle, where are you at on Bernard Ryman now, 3 years in?
Great Austrian prospect. I mean, that O-line, man, it's still, like, if not the top O-line in football, 2 or 3.
You could take an edge as well. I mean, they took Kwity Paye a few years ago.
Yeah.
Or you can take Morrison, the cornerback.
Edges, they're doing good. This might be a Malachi Stark spot.
Okay, let's do it.
Upgrade at safety a little bit there. And he's a freak safety prospect, the likes of which we haven't seen in quite a while because of his cover skills. So, yeah, Malachi Stark's the Georgia safety to the Indianapolis Colts.
San Francisco 49ers.
Now, the 49ers, Ashton Jeanty would be insane.
Oh, my God.
Would be just insane.
They'd have to trade C-Mac or something then.
Yeah, they would. I just don't think that's the way they go. They always want to load up on edges. They have lost a few guys.
Yeah, if they're in this position, how do they resist taking another like front 7 player?
Right. James Pierce Jr. right there.
Yeah. Do we do it?
James Pierce Jr.
All right.
Easy peasy. The Key didn't like our top 2 picks. What a silly goose. Buffs hater, I guess. But that's okay, the Key. We respect you, and we're so glad to see you in the Toyota chat.
Thank you, Key.
Yes, thank you, Key. Mad love and respect to you. At 15, the New York Giants.
Yeah, yikes. You missed out. They missed out.
On?
Quarterbacks.
Yeah, they did. I think it's too early for Jackson Dart. I think it's time to just keep adding weapons.
Okay.
You did add neighbors. I like the young goal lineman, like I said, Andrew Thomas, Ashton Jeanty.
I could see that.
15th overall. It doesn't get that crazy all of a sudden.
Do you think that, I know it's a different regime and everything, but after they took Saquon 2nd overall, they're like, you know what? It wasn't worth the experiment.
I know. And they let him go. They didn't pay him.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that is a good point. What's the other route you go then?
LB3.
LB3 with neighbors.
Yeah.
Just say screw it.
Or you could take Colston Loveland.
Yeah. Very Giantsy. No, LB3. Luther Burden III from
LB3.
Missouri should be the pick. No doubt about it.
Next, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I think this is an easy one. Struggles in the secondary for a little while. Benjamin Morrison, clear best.
Okay.
Cornerback from Notre Dame. I actually think 16th overall is really nice value for them. And then you have the Bears 17th overall.
Yep.
Who I really think it's O-line needs to be your priority. And I'd probably go Josh Simmons from Ohio State here. Their left tackle, the San Diego State transfer. I think that's a really nice fit. A guy with some really big upside.
Let's do it.
There you go. That puts us on the clock, just 4 picks away from the Broncos at 22. Green Bay Packers at 18 are up next. And we're going to get to that on the other side because first, I need to talk to you about our friends at Raising Cane's after last week's draft pod. Is that right?
That was a few weeks ago, I think.
Man,
bro.
That's become a core memory for already for me. Like,
we need to do it again.
The fellas going to Cane's and just having a blast. Everyone got a box. And, I mean, it was just the most delicious made-to-order chicken you could imagine, just as we tell you all week, because they have brought to you our draft coverage all season long, off-season, draft season. regular season. Canes has you covered when it's draft coverage at the DNVR. And we have ourselves covered with Canes. The most delicious, cooked to order, hand-battered chicken fingers there is. Race into Canes today. Turbocharge your chicken fingers and get them even faster by ordering online at raisingcanes.com through their mobile app. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love, y'all. You know that's the motto. And speaking of one love, DNVR events, what a time to be alive. Obviously, Avs watch party last night, glorious. Not so much the result, but the community coming together. As always, a big one in Buffs World coming up this Saturday against K-State. We've got that all fired up. I'm going to be down there. Jakester's going to make an appearance. World famous producer Alyssa, who's basically the Where's Waldo of Buffs videos. You will find her in the background of just about any important presser or moment in Buffs World if you know where to look. She'll be there, and it is simply a great time. You have parking at the tailgate, and just all sorts of other great stuff. You guys have a bunch of tailgates on the road when you're out there with the bus.
Yeah, Arizona
on the
tickets
Stampede.
or it's not even tickets, just RSVP. It's free. So if you're coming out to Tucson, it's on the events page as well.
Glorious stuff, and of course, Broncos tailgates. Every home game, those have been off the chains and simply incredible. So check those out. DNVR, thednvr.com/events, QR code right there. Link Karuski in the description. There you go. Pack Attack.
The Green Bay Packers.
Man, if you're a Titans fan watching Malik Willis, how do you feel?
You feel very bad about where your franchise is as a whole. Fired the coach that was giving you
losing Vrabel is such a
I mean, that dude
brutal.
He was just
Brutal, man.
I don't know how many other coaches could have actually done something with the team that he had and the toughness that he instilled in them that became their identity. You just got rid of all of that.
Yeah. Yep, you sure did. And they are a disaster. But the Packers, is Jeanty still on the board? I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Jeez.
They have Josh Jacobs though.
Yeah,
Colston
they don't need him. Tucker Kraft, South Dakota State's own, is having a moment, and Musgrave is still in the mix there. So they do have some young tight ends.
You go
Defensively, could this be a Jalen Walker spot? The Georgia linebacker.
I was looking front seven.
Yeah. Mikael Williams also still on the board. They love those toolsy upside defensive linemen that fit in a three-man front. Same could be said about Walter Nolan. Nick Scorton's very, and Deion Walker, the Kentucky nose. He's a fine pick too. But I think the defensive front might be where you go here to just keep getting better, younger, faster, stronger.
Who are you picking?
Give me Deion Walker, honestly. NFC North. That guy was bred to play there. The nose tackle for Kentucky. Such a huge reason why the Wildcats have been able to play spoiler this season. 19, we have the Broncos' opponent this week, the LA Chargers. Jim Harbaugh. He likes to build from within. And I wonder if edge is the way to go.
It's some sort of front seven or offensive lineman / tight end. Maybe he goes Colston? Get his guy back?
Could be. Wide receiver also is a big need for them. This could be where Isaiah Bond goes potentially.
And then
Emeka Egbuka. Trey Harris from Ole Miss could also be a target here. I honestly, I wonder if some Nick Bosa insurance would be something they'd prioritize, but I think skill players for Herbert should be more of a priority, which is why I think we'd go Nick Scruton.
Let's do it.
There you go. Texas A&M, former Purdue's edge Nick Scruton goes to the Chargers at 19. Seattle at 20. Not an Ashton Jeanty landing spot.
No.
because of the Broncos, they've loaded up in a lot of areas. And this might be another spot where linebacker's a consideration and Jalen Walker's staring you in the face.
Yeah.
Harold Perkins is also.
Harold Perkins, yep.
Yeah. Both those guys feel very Seattle-y. Dealer's choice.
I'm fine with that. Oh, I'll pick Perkins then.
There you go. Harold Perkins to the Seattle Seahawks at 20. 21, just one pick away from the Broncos. The Steelers are on the board. Could they be a Jackson Dart contender? And the second tier of wide receivers definitely becomes a consideration here.
Yeah. Could this be a Jeanty spot, too?
Could be. Jalen Warren, Najee Harris, not the best. I think, honestly, lots of the needs that the Broncos are looking at the skill positions, they're looking at as well.
What do you think Tomlin would do? I mean, there's still some edge guys here.
Yeah.
They could just go defense and try and do the Pittsburgh thing.
They certainly could.
Some tackles on the board still.
Yeah, and kind of the Ariante Ursi might be really nice for Minnesota. That's like a tone-setting kind of guy. Broderick Jones is, you know.
You want to do it?
I'd be down.
Let's do it.
And then who knows? Maybe he could play on the inside as well. And then the Broncos, they do still have Ashton Jeanty available. They do still have Isaiah Bond. They have the top tight end and Colston Loveland still on the board. You have a little talent at edge, which I know for some would be a priority. The O-line run has kind of come and gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure you'd feel great about taking an offensive lineman here. Emory Jones, the LSU right tackle.
Offensive lineman?
Well, if Pukaszewski keeps playing like that, they really might not.
Yeah.
Alex Pachelski.
I've seen some PFF rating where they're like the second rated offensive line in the league right now.
No, they've played well. I just
and they
know
were
that
top 10 last year.
If there's anything Sean Payton would prioritize over skill positions, it's building from the trenches within.
I agree, but this team, they so badly need some speed and just dynamic playmaking.
I could not agree more. I could not agree more. Yeah, it's crazy. Just guys who can create mismatches, you know?
Someone to make someone miss in the open field. Mm-hmm. Run through an arm tackle.
Yep.
Pick up 5 extra yards on a run. Like
Javonte started looking better.
Yes.
Jaleel breaks tackles in the red zone. I like that about him.
So then maybe it's a perimeter guy then.
Bond, I told you. Coming into this, I've just had... You know, I think it's easy to compare him to Xavier Worthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Speedster wide receiver from Bama. Worthy, though, really was like, you know, your outside speed wide receiver. John Ross, Will Fuller, that kind of guy.
Right.
Bond is more your hybrid weapon. Your Tyler Lockett, your Tavon Austin, who didn't really pan out in the NFL.
I know what you're saying.
And I mean, honestly, a lot of those guys don't work out. Kadarius Toney would be an example of that.
Debo worked. He's not that kind of size. Right.
He's 5'11", 185. But he is so dynamic, and it's not just speed, it's his quickness. You just want to get the ball in his hand. He just adds a lot. And so, yeah, I think that would be a perfect pick for Sean Payton. And I think Jose, with this comment in the Toyota chat, makes a really good point about inside linebacker being ignored. Man. And Jalen Walker is still available, right? Because he slipped through the cracks and Harold Perkins was taken ahead of him.
Yep.
His length and strength, and I mean, gosh, he's Drew Sanders insurance if I ever saw any.
I don't care, man. You got a young quarterback who's showing promise. You got to give him weapons.
I agree. And, you know, a bigger need's probably tight end, and Colston Loveland would be very intriguing. I just don't think he's that tier of tight end prospect where you pass on a dynamic weapon like an Isaiah Bond or an all-time type prospect at running back like an Ashton Jeanty. Or even some of that second-tier wide receivers, Trey Harris that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Mekagbuko's been around the block for a few. Quinshon Judkins might be a consideration. I just think with how good the defense has played, it would be hard to not address the offense in round one.
I agree. And just don't
In
get
particular, the skill position.
Exactly. Don't get too cute with it. Don't be like, well, you know, if we get a tight end, that actually makes us better in blocking and running. I don't care. Get both someone who is reliable, who can ideally stretch the field, make people miss in the open field, short and intermediate. Whether that's Bond or whether you just get Jeanty, someone who can just carry your run game for the next few years.
Yeah, I know. And he's such a dynamic weapon in Sean Payton's hand.
Yeah.
You know how I love a superstar backfield. I think that's an underrated way to build a team.
And I think one of Sean Payton's underrated aspects is how he schemes up a run game.
No, 100%. I mean, Jeanty has really flown up my board to where he's the 9th rated prospect. And I have him ahead of every offensive skill player not named Travis Hunter, Shadur Sanders, Quinn Ewers. I just think he's that kind of dynamic weapon.
Take him.
That's how I feel.
I'd be all for it.
I think so. Ashton Jeanty, there you go. All-timer, man. Just
love it.
Amazing, amazing player. Let's get into these picks. We will need a smidge more than just the 1 second, so we can start early on these. Let's start with a game that's familiar to you. Kansas State at Colorado. My guy. Prospects to watch. Wildcats, slight favorites. What's your read on all of this?
Starting off with prospects to watch, obviously Travis and Shador. I'm just excited to watch them play football again. But Colorado's other wide receivers, just going through that mock draft machine. Will Shepard's in there. Jimmy Horn's in there in the top 150. Can either of these wide receivers have a big game, and who can elevate themselves into a higher draft status? Watch the edge rushers for Colorado. This is a big matchup for them with Avery Johnson. They've been getting a lot of attention at practice. NFL scouts are paying attention. Let's see if one of them can have a big game and also improve their draft stock. The linebackers have been balling out for Colorado. They've been the biggest difference makers. On the K-State side, DJ Giddens, he's a really good running back.
DJ Giddens, indeed, yes.
That's kind of...
Yeah, Dante Cephas is decent. Yeah. Obviously, Dylan Edwards and Johnson are more guys you're observing for later. But it is a team whose talent is less than the sum of its parts, I would say.
This line has moved a lot. It opened at 6.5 last week. It's down to 3.5.
Indeed it is.
Taking the Buffs.
Yeah, I think the home advantage and just being more of a dual threat offense compared to this one-dimensional Wildcat offense ultimately will be the difference for the Buffs, who I am taking straight up. Let's go to SEC country.
Okay.
South Carolina, Raheem Sanders, and those guys go to Alabama, where Bama's a 21-point favorite in a 10 a.m. game after having been upset by Vandy. There's just some nice prospects. I don't know that this is the best pick, but one that we can start, an appetizer for us to start talking about.
Yeah, South Carolina, I mean, that LSU game stood out to me a few weeks ago, and haven't really delivered since. They played, Akron? Yeah, they played Akron, beat the hell out of them, and then they got trounced by Ole Miss. I think I just take the 21 points and take South Carolina still, though.
I think so, too. And I think the Gamecocks and Raheem Sanders, they're frisky enough.
Yeah.
They're frisky enough.
They've had some good offensive outputs. They put it on Kentucky. Again, they should have beat LSU. They scored 33 points in that game, so...
Exactly, Jake.
Yeah.
Red River rivalry. Are we still saying that?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good.
Just don't say, you can't say shootout. Shh, don't say that.
Okay, I won't. Actually, I mean, my 6-year-old and I, we do talk about school-appropriate language, so that's a good note for us all. Okay, we have Texas at Oklahoma. The buzz is Ewers is good to go.
Yeah.
Right. No, good correction. Obviously, Texas loaded with prospects.
Yep.
We've talked about Ewers, Banks, Bond. Taj Brooks is the running back who's emerged.
That's Texas Tech.
He's the guy who's hurt.
Taj Brooks is Texas Tech.
Oh, okay, my bad. Ethan Burke, the edge, is a guy I've been very high on. One of their cornerbacks is getting a lot of hype. So they are certainly a big one to watch. It's a weird Oklahoma team. I think Danny Studson, the inside linebacker and team captain, is oddly enough kind of the highest rated prospect. They've got some talent at wide receiver. They've got some talent in the secondary. The lines are pretty underwhelming for your typical Oklahoma team.
And it doesn't sound like Deion Burks is going to play Oklahoma's best wide receiver,
which is not great for them. Texas, only a 14-point dog. It's a rivalry, as Justin would always warn us about.
Yes.
But I think Texas is 3 tiers superior, and they have just kind of belt to ass in some of these big games. Yeah. And Oklahoma, I think, is so limited offensively, man. I think they're closer to being like a Florida level blue blood than they are a legit Power 5 team to worry about. I think Texas smokes them. Makes a statement.
I was going to talk this out with you because that's where I was leaning, and that's
maybe
where
I'm
I
being
still
a
am.
sucker, though. Are we being suckers?
Well, let's talk it out because
even with Arch, I think they smoke him, man.
Yes, I agree.
Is Sark that guy, though?
I think he's that guy.
Because, you know, sometimes the Harbaughs of the world, they'll make a point and like...
Right. But 14 points in a rivalry game is a lot.
It's a lot.
We've seen the underdog in this matchup does just come out just firing.
Always.
Potentially upsetting them outright.
But I think this year's different.
I agree. I'm taking Texas still.
I think they're 3 layers. Like, once I saw Ewers as... This, to me, would be the line if Arch was starting.
Okay.
Ewers, I think, is worth another 3.5 points conservatively. Minus 17.5, minus 21 is what I think this should be at with Ewers. Venables, you suck, man. I have zero respect for you, my guy.
And Oklahoma is changing quarterbacks too, I think.
Now, that actually could be a wrench in this.
Yeah, dude. Remember,
that's a wrench in this.
Remember, this is where Caleb Williams came to life.
Well, yeah, no, that's definitely in my head, man.
I know.
Okay, next we will go to Penn State at USC. I mean, one of those matchups you remember as a kid watching in the Big Ten, right?
Oh, of course.
There are some great prospects. Obviously, Abdul Carter, Drew Aller are the 2 stars for State Penn. Miller Moss at USC. Their dynamic returner.
Zachariah Branch.
Awesome wide receiver. Key, is it?
For USC?
Yeah. He's been going off. Their front is really good.
I can't remember.
And yet they're coming off being upset by Minnesota. It's kind of been a rough season. And you wonder, is this classic Penn State beating up on the bad teams and then getting beat up on themselves from the good teams? And what is USC? What is LSU? You know, it's one of those games where, like, you start thinking about it too much. You're Charlie from It's Always Sunny meme. Penn State on the road, favored by 5 on Bet365, though.
I'm rolling with the Nittany Lions. I think they are better in the trenches. I do think USC has the better quarterback, but
I can't believe they put up 14 at Minnesota, though, man.
That was ugly. That was
Lincoln
ugly.
Riley with these playmakers? Gross.
We talked about it coming into the year. USC
disgusting.
Was already fighting an uphill battle coming into the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But this is a very important year for them and their future, but it's also a bit of a transitionary year too. Obviously, because Caleb's gone and all that, but you made so many changes on the defensive side of the ball, the DC, and they've been better, right? I mean, they allowed 24 and lost to Minnesota. They allowed 21 and beat Wisconsin, and then they allowed 27, lost to Michigan. Like it's an improvement. They're not allowing 45 every week still.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's enough though for me to believe in them in this matchup.
Yeah. Feel like I'm chasing my tail a little bit and overreacting to last week some. That's my only concern. Like, I kind of feel like this is a matchup where USC should come out at home, vindicated, house money, Miller Moss shows up, the whole shebang.
I'm still taking Penn State.
I guess I will take the Trojans +5, but I hate it, which makes me like it more. The Calgorithm, boy, what a story in college football that's been. At Pitt, Pitt ranked 22nd. Cal, amazingly, is the team with more prospects, starting with Jaden Ott.
Yeah.
Their running back, but they have guys on both sides of the lines. They have a couple running backs in that rotation, and a few guys in the secondary as well. Like, they are a solid team. They are not a pushover. Well, Pitt, I think probably Bartholomew, their tight end, is the best prospect in the mix.
This Holstein kid at quarterback's been playing well, though.
It's a good note.
15 touchdowns and 3 interceptions so far.
He's playing
and they've
really
been
good.
able to score in almost damn near every game they've played.
They're basically just a straight up 3.5 home favorite. Pittsburgh is. And of course, for Cal, what a trek that is as well.
Did last week, is that like a breaking loss for your Cal?
I think they just love being in it.
So
It's just a solid team.
there's no
man.
hangover effect, you think, from that? Like, they're not just going to fall flat on their face and then it's 42-14.
It's a good quarter. This is the point in my picks where all the dogs start looking good to me. I'll go against my instinct. Give me the -3.5. I'll be on the minus side. That's a good call. That's a good call by you. Arizona at BYU is next. BYU 3.5, 4-point home favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Not a ton of prospects for BYU, but they're having a hell of a season.
They're tough, man.
Got some good size up front.
Yep.
And Arizona, as far as the prospects go, Takario Davis, the star cornerback, T-Mac. I love the Jonathan Savaloa, the
tackle.
Offensive lineman. Yep, the tackle. So they've got some talent, but they're going to Utah, and Utah's the ranked team. Who is the favorite here?
Oh, man.
And then after this, we have the big hitters: Ohio State, Oregon, Ole Miss, LSU. So
I'm getting nervous because of how many favorites I'm taking here, but I think I'm going to do it again and take BYU.
could be a faves week. I do too. I don't know what to make of Arizona. They're kind of stinky. So
They have not performed well offensively. People forget how impactful Jed Fish was in terms of Fafita's development. He is playing with a distinct lack of confidence, I think, compared to last year. And their last few games, I mean, they were in a battle against Texas Tech. They only scored 22 points. They beat Utah. They scored 23 points. They lose to K-State. They only score 7 points. They play Northern Arizona. They only scored 22 points.
they have more talent than the sum of their parts for sure. Right now. Yeah, I'm with you. I too will take the Cougars. Okay, Ohio State in Eugene at Oregon.
Big game.
I mean, preseason rankings really had this as kind of like the game for the conference crown in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the exact up-to-date line that is in my notes from
On
yesterday.
Bet 365.
3 for Ohio State. Ohio
Yep.
State road faves. How do you feel about this one, man? Ohio State, so much more NFL high-end talent.
Yes.
Both sides of the trenches.
So, yeah,
Secondaries, wide receiver.
I give the early edge to Ohio State because of that. I don't like either of these quarterbacks, though.
I don't either, but I do trust Dylan Gabriel significantly more.
I think I do, too.
And the home factor also matters.
Yes. I'm taking the Ducks. I also thought the Ducks would win this conference preseason as well, so I'm going to stand by that.
They've been tested more, too.
Yes, by far.
To me, this would be a great Ducks alternate line, taking them like +6 in a greater parlay or something like that might be the play. Because, yeah, I feel the same way. I like Ohio State's talent. I'm not convinced, though. I'm not convinced. And Oregon has a lot of talent, too. They have not a ton of blue chippers.
But
Evan Stewart, the wide receiver, maybe the best prospect with Dylan Gabriel, but they have a lot of guys, a lot of size. I mean, this isn't a team that's just going to get blown off the field.
I agree.
So, yeah, give me the Ducks. Ole Miss at LSU, -3.5 point favorites for Lane Kiffin, Jackson Dart. Princely Amukamara. Don't do that to me.
I'm sorry.
I mean, it is funny. I do not know how to pronounce the guy's name. Walter Nolan and the Rebels. I don't think I'm supposed to say Rebels, but it is their mascot, so we'll say it.
I think we're still good there.
Okay, good. I can just go Tigers. And Will Campbell, the whole gang, Nussmeier, all those silly geese over there in Baton Rouge. Ole Miss, they're kind of pretenders. They're kind of just front runners. But they have so much more talent.
They do.
And the vibes are awful at LSU. Like, I don't think Brian Kelly's got a hold of that place, man.
It's not great right now. They have been able to score.
They do. Guy puts up points.
I'm
going
to do it again and take the Rebels, who are a 3.5 point favorite. I hate that. I just don't trust LSU.
I know. What's the time? How late is that game?
7:30. So I think that's Eastern, 5:30 us.
Bro, do you understand what that means?
I completely understand. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Night game. Oh, boy. Yeah, no, I'm going against my best instincts. It's LSU. I hate it. I hate it so much, which is why I love it. So
I'll officially switch as well. I'll take LSU.
And our guy Mike Trout saying, put the mortgage payment on JMU -8. Just so we're clear, that is
not gambling advice.
Mike Trout, the MLB player. So after the Shohei Ohtani scandal, we have this one as well. Hopefully the show can go viral. Leave us a thumbs up. Thank you all in the Toyota chat. Bet responsibly on Bet365. Thank you to my guy.
As always.
And let us know how you felt about Ashton Jeanty and our other crazy mock picks. This, as always, is just glorious. The most fun a man can have.
Outside of actually watching football on the weekends, yes.
Right. There you go. So, bless you all. Bless our production team behind the sticks. Riley, world famous Alyssa. And we'll see you all next week.
We all silly like the mayor.